Be honest with yourself for a second. How many of you are really good at something that you may not even care about anymore? For example, you've worked so hard to get to the place where you're at, and then you're there, and then you think, is this it? Is this all I have to look forward to? Well, that was me, and that is also the story of my guest today. I'm Dr. Sundar. I'm the host of Gloves Off, and this is where we skip the highlight reel and we get into what's actually real. So today we're talking about that gap, not the gap in your industry, but the gap between the life that you're living and the life that you actually want to live. And most of us are kind of living in that gap and we don't know how to get out. So my guest today, Bianca Ariel, has helped so many people stop ignoring that gap, and she has helped them start building through it. So I'm so excited to get into this conversation today. So she is the founder of Recalibrated Vision and the creator of Recalibrated Career Academy. She helps physicians and healthcare visionaries transform their expertise and into something purpose-driven that excites them, because so many of us are just living in this space where we're not even excited with what we do anymore. And you know what? Life is too short not to enjoy what you're doing for work. So help me and let's have Bianca and let's get into this today.
Hi,
Hello.
yay! I love that little intro.
Just gets you in the mood, right?
I love it. Love it.
Well,
Very
I am so excited to talk to you. I was on your podcast a few weeks ago, and I just loved how much we had in common. I mean, both in healthcare, both just seeing things that we didn't love. We both had so many similarities in our journey. And the reality is this, it's not just us. It is not just people in healthcare or in medicine. It's people all over the world, really.
Mhm.
So I know that what you do is really help physicians and healthcare providers, but the reality is that I think many people can benefit from this conversation that we're about to have today.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So tell me a little bit more about, you were living in that, you had a successful career, were in the pharmaceutical industry, and life looked super successful. I mean, I know I lived that too. And tell us what was going on underneath all that success that people didn't see.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, again, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to dive into this because I don't do a lot of podcast interviews. So definitely happy to share my story. So when you were just speaking just now, it was kind of like visualizing like where I was in that time frame, right? Where it's like you had this successful career, everything looked successful on the outside, but what was going on internally. And of course, through the work that I do with my clients and then also the work that I've done on myself, I've had time to really reflect because it's not really one moment, right? It's all of these small moments that really build up into one. But looking back, you can kind of visualize the entire scenario in like one major scene. And so the scene that comes to my head is me in the high rise apartment downtown LA that I wanted. Like you see all like, I don't like, if anybody knows like the show Insecure, I know a lot of Black millennials, we watch that show, but it's the lawyer, she has like her downtown Los Angeles apartment and it's just so beautiful and just like kind of what you visualized you wanted like in your 20s and at the pivotal point of your career. My goal was always to hit six figures. I went back to business school with like the primary goal of like wanting to hit six figures. And so once I got there and I, won an award for being one of the top sales professionals in my career, and I got the high rise apartment, I had the relationship, I had the little Frenchie dog, everything that I like that was on my vision board was manifested. And I was sitting in that moment and I was probably the most depressed I've ever been in my life. And it's really hard to connect with people or share that with people who seemingly feel that you are successful or that they would want to have your life or they view you in a certain light.
Because
And
it
it's
makes you feel ungrateful, right?
yeah,
It
and
makes
it
you
makes
feel
you feel
ungrateful.
ungrateful. Yes, yes. So it was really hard to share that, even with my partner at the time. And so I just had to internalize it and keep going because I really didn't know what to do next. So I was just sitting out of the window, drinking my wine, like there has got to be more to life than this.
Well, I'm telling you, that is such a common thing. There's another show that I've just recently watched called Friends and Neighbors, and it's
Mhm,
about the same thing. So this is a universal story, is the bottom line. He
mhm,
was this big hedge fund guy, lost his job, and then he started to rob houses, which is hilarious. You know, his neighbors' homes, these very wealthy people. But he started to see things differently about how they were just hiding all of their problems with money and making them feel better with money. And I was doing the same thing. And, you know, the reality is this is the stuff they don't teach you when you're younger. They teach you how to achieve the success or this pie in the sky dream, but nobody tells you that that may not even be what you want. Or
mhm.
maybe it's part of what you want and there's more to it. I think that's actually the real story. I think that what I had in my past was part of what I wanted. I just didn't know there was more. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely a part of the story because we do want success. So it's not, we're not saying like, you shouldn't want these things or you shouldn't have these things or you should be happy. But I think it's in the way that you're receiving it. I think that number one, the goals that you set out, that I set out personally were superficial, right? Those are the things that society told me I should have. Not that I truly wanted them, but now, understanding the fact that yes, we do want success. Yes, we do want money. Yes, we do want accolades. Like, yes, that's okay to want them, but I think that it's more important to figure out in the way you want to receive them. What function do you want to operate in, right? And what is fulfilling to your soul? Because if you're doing things that you're not happy with just in order to maintain these superficial things, then ultimately it's just it feels empty and hollow.
And also, I think we have to factor in the cost. So I
Yeah.
think part of, you know, I'm just going to assume here because I think our stories are so parallel, but
Mhm.
there was probably a cost that may have been bigger than you wanted to spend on that.
Mm,
You know,
mm,
whether it's burnout or whether it's, you know, just not having a free moment or that creativity to just do with your day what you want or freedom. There's a cost. The cost is often what we didn't envision.
mm.
I,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, there is a
what it is
cost
for
to
me.
there is a cost to it because I work with a lot of physicians and other healthcare professionals that really talk about moral injury, right? And knowing that there's a better way to serve and to help people, but having to continue to do it in a way that does not feel good, which are what ultimately costs your spirit. But what was so crazy about my personal story was that there was not a lot of the narratives around like having like an unhappy job or like a dead end job that I could really put in to fit into the picture. So I love my job. So that's the thing. Like most people, I love my job. I loved my team. I loved the product that I sold. I loved the clients that I worked with. I actually had freedom and autonomy with my job. I worked from home. I had a company card, a credit card. I could pretty much manage my territory the way that I wanted to. And I had a supportive team. So it was really hard for me to like, I didn't have all of these different elements around like, not because anytime I didn't like a job in the past, I would leave and find a better one, leave and find a better one. And then I did find it. So that was the toughest thing is like really coming to terms with like, I just, at the core of it all, I didn't like what I was doing. I didn't like the function of, going out and educating people on products that I truly didn't believe in. So what happened for me is I actually took more of a lateral move. I left the job that I loved for more money in the same position. And that's when I started to really feel the disconnect because then I started to fall out of love with the product. I didn't feel like it was actually helping people. And it's very hard to sell something for me specifically if I don't truly believe in, and it started to affect my work performance.
And frankly, it should affect the way you feel about things if you don't
Yeah.
believe in it. But that's the whole integrity thing that, you know, really needs to come back into sales. You know, I wouldn't want to talk about anything I don't truly believe in. So, you know, I think it's wonderful that that was the decision that you made. So when you finally decided to kind of start like making a change, or when you decided you were going to make a change, what were the steps that you finally went through?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start from what was going on internally. So what we're taught is like, okay, if something's going on internally, what do? You go to therapy. So I was looking around for a therapist to figure out what I should do and how I could create this change. I wasn't aware of coaching or career coaching or anything like that. So I went to therapy and was talking about how much I hated my job. I'm sure she hears this from everybody. And I remember spending time like in my car going in between clients and talking, like having my therapy sessions. And all it was like a venting session. There was no real clear solutions or what I should do next, no plan of action or anything like that. So I was like, okay, I'm going to have to just literally switch my careers. Luckily, sales and marketing is really ambiguous. So there's other options out there. So I just started to look to see what it is that I wanted to do. But like I said before, I already kind of felt like I hit the pivotal like ceiling in my career and I didn't want my boss's job. So I was like, the only thing that I need to do at this point is going to be probably to start my own business. So I started to like kind of look at the marketplace and figure out why. And this was all work that I had to start doing on my own, is kind of figure out like, okay, what is the root of it? About your job? What's the function? Like, what do you not like about it? Number one was the product, right? And then I also wanted to serve in a different way. I worked with a lot of physicians and mostly like other healthcare professionals, like nurses and things of that nature. And I realized there was that industry puts a lot of resources into educating sales professionals to go out there and really, communicate their message, right, and sell their products. But there was another market that was missing that piece, which was like the holistic medicine market. And so at that time, I really felt like I was having a spiritual awakening, and I wanted to help other holistic practitioners really develop their sales and marketing skill sets, because I know that there's not a lot of professionals focused on that market because it's not as lucrative. So that's where I started. Is I opened up my own consulting business, and my goal, and I got a certification in online media marketing before social media was a thing. And I was like, I'm going to just open up a practice and I'm just going to teach holistic practitioners how to sell and market their products so that they can, better serve their patients.
Well, I think that is fabulous because it's a very much needed thing. And holistic practitioners, well, I think a lot of medical professionals are not great at marketing. So it's something that's extremely, extremely useful for them. So I just think it's great because you created something that didn't even exist based on what you wanted to do. And I think most of us have to do that as entrepreneurs. We find something that's displeasing us in some way, and we realize it doesn't exist. So now we have to create it. So I love that. I mean, and it's just fun for me to uncover entrepreneurs' journeys and see how they started and, where they wound up. And it's so fun. All right. So before we go further, for those of you out there who are watching, you're going to want to be in on this deeper portion of the conversation. There is a reason that the rest of this conversation happens in the private community, because people don't share everything on social media, and nor should they. So we're going to really get into more of what she went through, some of the learning points that she's learned and all of that. So if you haven't joined yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. It's free to join, and you can see what's in there. But I talk a lot about vitality, wealth, and impact, because this community is for people who want more out of life in every single way. So we will see you in the private room, and you just hang on, Bianca. We'll be right back.